Well, folks, this is something I don't do often. I bought a vintage laptop. I decided to get this NEC on eBay as an impulse buy, actually, after seeing it for so cheap. I just had to grab it. I think it ended up being I think it was $25 plus shipping, something like that. It was very cheap for a laptop like this. This is an NEC laptop. Came with the original NEC power adapter. It is a tri-spindle machine, and by tri-spindle I mean it has the hard drive here, a built-in floppy drive, and a CD-ROM drive over here. No DVD, because this computer is too old for that. And the tri-spindle machines are some of the more desirable ones as far as Windows 98 computers go, because you get everything you need right there without having to plug anything else in. Some of the other laptops I've had from this era, you tend to have to buy accessories in order to get the tri-spindle experience. This one you don't have to. Everything is there, which is very nice. Now, what model laptop is this? Let's take a look inside. There's just a look at the laptop itself. Very streamlined, very nice looking. It is an NEC Versa VXI. This is a Windows 98 era laptop. It has an Intel Celeron. That's a Pentium 2 based Celeron. The Pentium 2 based and the Pentium 3 based Celerons were actually good chips. These are not Celeron Ds based on the Pentium 4 by any stretch. They were pretty good chips for the time. Here's the bottom, the nameplate here. Versa VX. It's a VXI. It takes a 19-volt 2.64 amp power adapter, so pretty standard stuff. It just takes a barrel power connector. Came with Windows 98 Second Edition, as you can see. So, you know, your typical Windows 98 laptop. Oh yeah, Canada. Bottom of the laptop here, here's the battery. Came with the original battery in it, which is a prompt candidate for rebuild if I ever need to take this on the road, which I doubt I will, but it's an absolute prime candidate for rebuild. Get access panels. One thing I really like about this laptop is you get feet on the bottom, so you can stand it up at a little bit of an angle when you're typing. That's very nice. It's a very well-featured laptop for having a budget CPU in it. I really like this laptop a lot so far. You can see why I kind of jumped for it, just because it's very well-featured and very nice for a laptop like this. You just don't see these very often either. Speakers are on the front, on both sides. You get an IR port, a microphone right next to that. You get the typical three inputs and outputs that were on machines of those days. You get a manual volume control with a knob, which is really nice. Reminds me a bit of Toshiba laptops. Yeah, that's really it for the front. On the right side, you get the battery, cooling fan. You get two PC card slots. You get a composite output, which is very nice, actually. I tend to like machines with a composite output. That makes video capture very easy. PS2 keyboard and mouse port. On the back, you get a barrel connector for power input, parallel port, dock connector, VGA, serial, some USB ports here, 1.1. And here's interesting. This one has an RJ11 port in it, but you can see how there's a gap in between the plastic of the port. On these laptops, you could have the option to either get Ethernet put in there or get a modem put in there. I'm the lucky duck, and I got a modem. So, yeah, most people I'm sure would have gotten the modem back then based on the type of internet everyone used. And of course on the left is what I showed you before, the tri-spindle arrangement. Getting the hard drive out of this machine is actually very easy. You just open that and pull it out. And there you go. The Toshiba 6GB hard drive, which still works just fine. I'm probably going to upgrade that if it lets me, but if not, that's what'll stay in there. There you go. The reason I got this laptop is for a while I've been searching for kind of the perfect Windows 98 laptop. I would like to get one with a tri-spindle arrangement like this one has, a very nice keyboard, which this one definitely has. The keyboard on this is fantastic. The screen is of a good resolution for old games. This is 800 by 600, so it's perfect for that. It'll scale well to 640 by 480. It has the audio inputs that I like, which are the triple ones here. You get microphone, line in, and headphones. And the composite output. That's another part I really wanted in a laptop like this. And one of the most crucial things in a laptop I want is FM synthesis, which, according to the laptop in the listing, does have. They listed this as an NEC Versa LX, which it's not. It's a VXI. So I don't know if this definitely has wavetable synthesis. I do not know if this has FM synthesis yet. Even if it doesn't, this is still a very nice laptop. So, you know, I need to get 98 on here and see what I can do about that particular situation, because it looks like the built-in drivers in XP don't have FM synthesis. Did I mention that? Somebody installed Windows XP on this computer at one point. It looks like it was upgraded from 98. I'll start it up and show you. It's kind of... I have a lot to say about that, actually, so let's plug this in and get this thing started. One thing that's odd about this laptop is it's one of the few I've ever had that actually has a post beep. Yep, a little beep. Someone installed XP Professional on here. It's Service Pack 1, so they were smart. After Service Pack 1, older machines just crawled with XP, so let's start this up. The amount of RAM that this thing has in it while it's running XP, though, oh, you guys are going to cringe so much. You can tell this is Service Pack 1 because it still says Professional. Here's that fan I was talking about. When it revs up loud, it doesn't sound very good, so I'm going to try to oil that fan or buy a new one at some point, because it just doesn't sound very good. Here's your hard drive indicator light down there. As it slowly loads Windows XP. I have the volume up all the way as well. There you go. The sound out of the speakers in this thing is actually pretty good for what it is. It has a little bit of like upper mid-range as bass, which is good enough compared to a lot of laptop speakers these days that barely have that or don't have that at all. Now you can tell this is a very old install of Windows. Net Zero Internet, America Online, Adobe Reader 7, and AIM. Oh man. And try AOL for broadband. Welcome to the World Wide Wow. Remember that? Now, the hard drive light is just on at the moment. It's trying to load everything. It takes an age to just load everything off of this hard drive, and I'll show you why in a minute. Once everything loads, of course. Now, this machine was designed for 98, and I know around this time people would stick XP on computers like this with a Pentium 2 or a Pentium 3, and back then that was okay, because Service Pack 0 and Service Pack 1 would actually run well on older machines. However, once Service Pack 2 hit, that's when Windows XP got a lot heavier, and it just became not such a good idea to run XP on a machine like this, because, you know, it's just, you just don't want to run XP on computers this old, much past Service Pack 1. So, you know, there you have it. It's slowly loading stuff into the tray down there. It thinks it's 9:15 a.m. for some reason. It's not. It's about 6:25. All right. I think this is responsive enough to show you what I want to show you. Or not. Yeah, this is pretty darn slow. Let me open that up there. And you'll see why it's slow in a minute. Alright, it finally loaded this window. As you can see, it's registered to exclamation point. So that's always interesting. It's Windows XP Service Pack 1, as you can see. Here you go. It's a Celeron CPU. It looks like it's a 550 or 600 megahertz Intel Celeron. 64 megabytes of RAM on XP. No wonder this thing runs so slow. That's pretty terrible. It's just plain not good. So, let's take a look at the hardware. Open up Device Manager here. Hard drive light, man. So if you take a look at the display, it uses an ATI Rage Mobility, which is pretty good. Oh, there we go. It has an Intel. It has an Intel 440M chipset, as you can see right there. So it's a pretty standard chipset, which is good for machines like this. So there's really not a whole lot to these machines. I did find a driver page for these machines, which is surprising. I'm surprised I could get to it. But I can still download drivers for this machine. So hopefully the Yamaha chip in this machine does FM synthesis. I kind of have my doubts, considering the machine isn't exactly what it was listed for on eBay. But I am going to give it a try anyway. And even if it doesn't have FM synthesis, it's still good enough to do a lot of what I want to do on Windows 98. So that's pretty awesome. Alright. Now here's where I'm going to go a little bit B-Bishop PCM on you guys. Everything looks fine. You know, there's programs installed. There's start menu taking forever. Look at that. There's a bunch of software installed. I mean, there's Office XP installed on here. There's AOL, some Adobe stuff. ScanSoft Paperport 8.0. Sesame Workshop. It looks like somebody's kid had this. Net Zero Internet. You know, stuff like that. It's pretty basic. And I think Video San Frontier will get a kick out of this. I bought it from a guy named Jay, apparently. Here's where the issue lies. When I open up my documents. This is what happens when you put a laptop in your attic, forget about it, and don't delete your stuff. Look at all this stuff. Hey, shorty. So there's a lot of like homework and college work and stuff on here, along with it looks like somebody took business. Looks like somebody took a lot of business classes, and kind of like I did, because I see management and marketing and international finance and stuff. So somebody used this laptop for college at one point, I think. Association meeting, maybe for a little bit of business as well. So just a reminder to everybody, delete your stuff, guys. At least wipe the hard drive. It's not that difficult. So, yeah. Not too good of people to just leave their stuff there, because you never know what can be used against you. You just don't, especially in today's society where nothing is private anymore. So, yeah, that's just an overview of this laptop as it came out of the box. I'm going to get 98 on this thing, and hopefully get FM synthesis out of it. If not, it'll just be a pretty nice laptop to have around. So, stay tuned. I just thought I'd film this. You can see the infrared LED in the front kind of flickering on my camera. It's kind of neat. Alright, folks, I got Windows 98 all set up and going on this NEC Versa VXI. NEC still has the drivers on their website for NEC America, which is really awesome. So I was able to get all the drivers I needed. I didn't have to do any like serious digging or anything like that. It was all still there. So I got lucky. So thanks to the help of a CDRW, I managed to get the drivers and Windows 98 installed. Now I want to elaborate on those files that I found on the old hard drive. Oh, that's the other thing I did. I replaced the hard drive with a 40 gig Seagate. If I can get it out here. Well, just believe me, it's a 40 gig Seagate hard drive that I had pulled out from somewhere else. Let me see if I can get this out. There we go. I put a 40 gigabyte Seagate hard drive in here. It was used in a Mac Mini that I got, a G4 version of it. So you can see it has the Apple OEM logo on it. But, you know, it works fine anywhere else because it's just a standard IDE drive. So I stuck it in here and it seems to work great. So much better than the 6 gigabytes that it came with, which is kind of useless on Windows 98. So, there you have it. Anyway, to elaborate on the data that I found on there, you guys need to delete your stuff when you throw out laptops, because that guy had tons of college work on there. His resume was on there, which had his email, his address, all that stuff. Very, very personal information on there that could be used against you if you don't have some sort of insurance policy or some kind of, you know, guarding service like LifeLock watching your identity. It could be, all that stuff could be used for identity theft. Now, I'm not interested in stealing people's identities because that's highly illegal. So, what I did is I just took the hard drive out and put a different one in. And that hard drive is likely not, I'm just not going to even mess with that data. That hard drive will be erased and used in another machine at some point, so I'm not going to bother with it. But this was a laptop that I bought off of eBay. You know, this person was consciously selling this. This wasn't somebody like in that B Bishop PCM video where somebody just threw it out. This was actually somebody consciously selling a laptop on eBay. And that scares me because the carelessness of some people just goes beyond. I mean, you can really screw yourself by doing things like that. So remember to wipe the hard drives when you sell your laptops. Don't destroy the hard drives. I don't like it when people do that, but just at least look up how to erase them, and please do so, just to protect yourself, because bad things can happen when you're not looking. Anyhow, I'm not going to lecture you on that, but I just thought I'd mention it. Let's start the laptop and show you how Windows 98 runs on here. The fan seems to be running okay now, by the way, since it had come in from the cold. I think the cold just made the grease dry up in the fan bearing and made it squeak a bunch. So, beep. Yeah, I mean, the fan seems fine now. It didn't before. That's the noise we like to hear. Got the audio working. And I should say something about the audio. I was hoping this would be FM synthesis because the listing said this was an LX, which had a Pentium 2 in it, and had, I think, ESS audio of some sort. Turns out this is a 600 or 550 megahertz Celeron, somewhere around there, but more than likely that's an early Pentium 3 based type of thing, because this laptop's from 1999, as I found out by the video card. So, unfortunately, this uses a Yamaha chip, which you'd think would be good because, you know, there's the Yamaha 3812 chip that was on the early sound cards, but no, this one is all wavetable. It doesn't use the Microsoft wavetable, it has its own wavetable, but it is still wavetable. So I'm going to play you Canyon just so you can hear what that sounds like. So as you can hear, it sounds like, you know, something like a Sound Blaster All-32 would sound with the echo and everything, but it's missing quite a bit of the instruments. So the wavetable's kind of It's not ideal for DOS gaming. There were no provided DOS drivers for the sound card. I'm sure I could find some that would allow the wavetable to work in DOS. but it seems hardly worth it. FM synthesis is really what you need if you're going to be playing DOS games. So a laptop like this would not be ideal for DOS games. A few of them work, like Epic Pinball and the other ones that use mod files. And, games that don't completely rely on, FM synthesis and Sound Blaster stuff and can use general MIDI or something. But ideally, this is for late 90s gaming. Stuff like point-and-click CD-ROM games, maybe a few light 3D games here and there, and of course productivity. I plan to use this for late 90s CD-ROM games from when I was a kid. This is basically be the portable version of what I use the Packard Bell and the Gateway for. So that's pretty nice. And this is a great machine to do it with because it's a tri-spindle machine and has pretty much every feature that I'd want other than FM synthesis and a track point mouse. But I can live with that because this is a really nice laptop. I've installed, I've put a few of the games on here, like the point-and-click games. I basically took my Scum VM folder and the folder I used for Scum VM and put it all on here. Here's a bunch of the games: Arthur's Teacher Trouble, Fatty Bear's Birthday Surprise, Freddy Fish 4, Putt Putt Games, Berenstain Bears, Let's Explore the Airport. Basically all the games that Road Geek has introduced me to and that I find quite amusing because they really, really take me back to when I was a kid. I think Arthur's Teacher Trouble is really what I remember doing a lot. So it's a laptop that runs these pretty well. But those are games that run in Scum VM. The benefit of this is I can run games that don't run in Scum VM and run a 98 on here as well. So that's always nice to have that in portable form. As far as the NEC laptop itself, I'm very impressed with this laptop. I really like it a lot. I don't know if this is a business line or a consumer line. Maybe one of you out there actually remembers these and can tell me. But either way, it's a very nice machine. Video San Frontier over in Scotland tells me that there are Packard Bell equivalents of these NEC machines as well. So for those of you across the pond, be on the lookout for those if you want to find a laptop like this. I'm sure there are equivalent models out there that you can find more easily than these, because I believe the NEC models were more of a business class type of offering over there. Whether that's true in the US or not, I'd assume not, because Packard Bell by that point was just interesting by the late 90s. So yeah, my overall impression of this NEC laptop is I'm a lot more impressed with it than I have been with some of the compacts that I've been using over the past year or so. The compacts have felt a bit cheap to me for some reason. I think that's mostly because of the keyboards. It's kind of the same impression I get from Dell laptops. But not every laptop's gonna be good. I mean, that's just what happens. This just happens to fit the bill for me for a late 90s laptop. So, the quest for finding a perfect Windows 98 laptop, it's a lot harder than you think. This is as close as I'm probably ever going to get, so I'm going to settle with this and just use that older compact Armada I have for Windows 95 and FM synthesis and things like that. There'll be future videos about that thing once I get it completed and up and running. But for now, I think I found an excellent Windows 98 laptop. And this was just an impulse buy. I happened to see it one day on eBay and found it. So, you just get lucky sometimes. Okay, I've actually set up this machine a little bit and installed a bunch of software. So, yeah, there you have it. I added this background. I guess it's like a Transformers toaster. It came with After Dark that I put on here, and I thought that background was awesome. So, yeah, definitely. I like it a lot. I tried some gaming on here. Point-and-click CD-ROM games work as expected, since most of those work on 95 era machines anyway. I did try Half-Life, the original Half-Life and Half-Life Opposing Force. Both of those work, but are a little choppy at times. So, conclusions about this machine? It's excellent. Reads CDRWs just fine. Has the tri-spindle arrangement. Has the composite output. Has all three of those has all three of the sound inputs and outputs that I like. It's basically a perfect machine for Windows 98 for me. The only thing I wish it had was a track point and FM synthesis from the sound card, but I have an older machine that can handle FM synthesis stuff, So, like I said, I'll make a video about that at some point. So, yeah, I really like this NEC Versa VXI. It's a very nice laptop. I'm glad that I just happened to run across it on eBay, because I think this is definitely a keeper. The screen resolution's perfect as well. I forgot to mention that for what I do. So, yeah, this laptop has proven itself very worthy. I'm definitely going to be keeping this one for a Windows 98 laptop. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and have a good one, everybody. Ciao.